إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صل على محمد وآل محمد سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا ولي الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله هيا على الصلاة هيا على الصلاة هيا على الفلاح هيا على الفلاح هيا على خير الأعمال هيا على خير الأعمال الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم اجعل قلبي بارا وعملي سارا وعيشي قارا ورزق دارا ونعطي أبرارا واجعل إن قبر نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم مستقرا بقرارا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي كان موجودا قبل حدوث الأشياء ويبقى بعد فناء الأشياء تفرد بالأولية والقدم وبصم كل شيء ما عداه بالفناء والعدم كما قال عز شان كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه وكل نفس ذائقة الموت وقال كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام سبحان من لا يخفى عليه اختلاف النيات ولا يعزب عنه ماسل العباد في الخلوات سبحان الله الذي منه خلقة العباد وإليه المعاد فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو الملك الذي لا ينازع في ملكه ولا يضاد في حكمه يعذب من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء ويرحم من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء تعذيبه المسيئين عدل وعفوه تفضل ونشهد أن محمدا سيد المرسلين وخير المبشرين والمنذرين صلى الله عليه وآله الهداة المهديين من ركب سفينتهم نجا واهتدى ومن تخلف عنها ضل فغرق وهواه أوصيكم عباد الله بالاعتصام بالتقوى فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى فقال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تقولن لشيء إني فاعل ذلك غدا إلا أن يشاء الله واذكر ربك إذا نسيت وقل عسى أن يهديني ربي لأقرب من هذا رشدا صدق الله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I begin by advising myself and all of you to practice the taqwa of Allah as is the best of provisions. The verse or the verses that I recited are from chapter Surah Kahf, ayat number 23 and number 24. It's an interesting ayat where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses when He says, do not say about anything that I will indeed do it tomorrow. Usually, a lot of time you see that we are procrastinators. We delay things, either sometimes on purpose or sometimes we can't, we don't have the willingness to do it. So he says, do not say about anything, I will indeed do it tomorrow, without adding, insha'Allah, if God wills. Recall your Lord if you forget to do something. Say, I hope that my Lord will provide me better guidance. The concept of saying insha'Allah might be different now in our communities, in our cultures, that when we use the word insha'Allah, usually it is referring to that it may not happen, unfortunately. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing that whenever you intend on doing something with complete determination and without any doubt whatsoever, you should always include the word insha'Allah. That do not say that I will do something tomorrow, indeed, without adding the word insha'Allah. Why? Because if you don't do so, then that act will remain incomplete. We see this is the seerah of Anbiya as well. Regarding Anbiya alayhi salatu wassalam, Hazrat Yaqub said to his sons when they were entering back into Misr, Udkhulu Misra insha'Allahu aminin. That when they said, we've been spotted, they were looking for us, these 10 brothers and whatnot, what did Hazrat Yaqub order them? Tell them, first of all, and enter from the different doors so they don't recognize you altogether. And when you do enter, Udkhulu Misra, insha'Allah, with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, we find Hazrat Musa also said to Hazrat Khidr, who was sent to teach Hazrat Musa a thing or two. And when he was not able to display the patience, Hazrat Musa begged him, no, please keep me with you. I will show patience next time around. Satajiduni insha'Allahu sabiran. Inshallah, you will find me to do sabr next time. What happened? Hazrat Musa was not able to do sabr, and eventually Hazrat Khidr had to leave. Third, we find the example of Hazrat Shu'aib to Hazrat Musa. He says, Satajiduni insha'Allahu minas salihin. Then when Hazrat Shu'aib has said that I will give you one of my daughters in marriage, and I want in return for you to serve me for 8 years, and if you want, you can add 2 more to make it tilka asharatun kamila, to make it 10 years. Hazrat Musa responded by saying, Satajiduni insha'Allahu minas salihin. Indeed, inshallah, you will find me amongst those who are the righteous ones. And then Hazrat Ismail also said this to his father, when his father has related the dream to him that, oh my son, I saw in my dream, inni ara fil manami anni adbahuka fanzur madha tara, that I've seen in my dream that I am, sacrificing you. What is your opinion? He said, if al-ma tu'mar satajiduni insha'Allahu minas sabirin. Go ahead and do what you have been commanded. Inshallah, you will find me amongst those who display sabr and patience. Saying inshallah or saying a'udhu billah and similar sentences isn't just utterance of the tongue. Rather, it should be with determination that you plan on doing this task. Otherwise, you're going to be making a mockery of these sacred words. While humans enjoy freedom in making decisions, right now you have the freedom to make the decision to come to Salatul Jum'ah, or you had the decision not to come to Salatul Jum'ah. You could have stayed back home. You had the decision to come and pray in Jama'at, or you could have done otherwise. Anything of these could have been possible. While we have the complete freedom to go ahead and make these decisions, we find what? We find that it is not independent. That there is another force that is involved in it. Not everything has been trusted to insan, that he can do anything without the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, humans are not forced into doing something. Nobody forced you to come to masjid today for Jum'ah. Nor are they absolute freedom to go ahead and do whatever it is that they want to. And remember the example of Imam when he gave that example to a layman who said, what is the balance of freedom and not freedom, lack of freedom if you want to call it? Imam said, you can lift your legs, but you cannot lift the other one. So go ahead and lift one leg. He lifted it. He said, now try lifting the other one. He said, I can't. He said, that's the freedom and that's the independence that you have. And on the other hand, you have dependency on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there are many things. When it comes to us, you might say, well, forget about these scenarios, we have to ask so many times from our spouses, our kids, our children before we can go ahead and do anything in our lives, let alone the freedom that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon us. Salawat bi Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the freedom that we have been given is in the shadow of Allah's will. Therefore, if you want, include the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every action that you want to perform. You want to go ahead and do something tomorrow? Say, inshallah. Have the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know where we try to incorporate the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Usually through our istikhara. I have made firm decision to buy this house. This house is perfect for my family, close to my masjid, close to the school district that I want to send my kids. All of the things are perfect. Maulana, can you do istikhara for this? What's the need of istikhara? They just need affirmation, confirmation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that while I'm satisfied, if I can just get this okay from Quran as well due to this istikhara, then it'll be a done deal. No, you don't need to do istikhara at that moment. So quite often you see that when they're looking for the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're looking at it through the ayat of Quran. No, you should be looking for the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the intention of buying this house, for example. What is the purpose behind buying this house? What is the purpose behind buying this business? What is the purpose being, for example, anything else that you do istikharas for you in this life? What is the purpose behind it? If the intentions are pure and everything that you have done makes sense, then istikhara is not needed. All you need is istishara, which is the mashwara, which is consultation. And you do not need just opening the Quran and seeing the first ayat. If it comes in your favor, you go ahead and do it. If it does not come in your favor, then you let go of that task altogether. Sometimes people, when they're not satisfied with the negative istikhara that comes out, Maulana, can we do the istikhara again? You want to do it again? If you're so sure you want to buy this house, why are you making a mockery of such a thing? 3rd of Rabiul Awwal also marks one of the dates of the shahadat, the wafat of Bibi Masuma Qum, Salamullahi alayha, the daughter of our 7th Imam, Imam Musa ibn Ja'far al-Kadhim alayhi salatu wassalam. More authentic date of wafat is the 10th day of Rabiul Thani, next month, in the year 201 after Hijrah. The story of her that she traveled to go ahead and meet her brother, Imam Rada, who was already in Mashhad, while he had bid farewell to the family, saying that you will not get to see me. If you want to weep for my martyrdom, weep now. 3 years in advance, Imam had already said that. This lady had the courage to stand up in that time, 14 centuries ago, to embark on this such a long journey. And eventually, when she arrived at a place called Sava in Iran, near Tehran, she fell sick. And then she moved to Qum, stayed there for 17 days, mere 17 days, and her shahadat takes place, or the reason they call shahadat is because other hands were involved in her killing, or some mention it was just merely wafat of Bibi Masuma Qum, that she passed away on this day in the year 201 after Hijrah. But there are some of the features that she has, no one else shares her. These features. You know, a lot of time you find that one of the tragedies of the madhab and the hands that this madhab has gone into in Saudi Arabia, the tragedy of, the desecration of the graves and not being able to properly visit them because this is considered to be shirk according to their criteria. Well, we're not doing any shirk, we're not worshipping these graves, we're not bowing to these graves, we're only visiting them out of tabarruk, how you would go to the grave of Rasulullah. If it was into their hands, they would not even allow that to happen. But nonetheless, because of that tragedy, we don't know where the grave of Janab Fatmatul Zahra Salamullah Alaiha exactly is. One of the scholars by the name Ayatullah Mar'ashi Najafi, those of you who have visited Qom, you must have gone to his library, extensive library, which consists of 250,000 manuscripts he collected throughout his lifetime. Manuscripts, handwritten manuscripts that he collected from all over the world, related to religion, of course, and this is something now which is up as a museum for display. He did some sort of wadifa to go ahead and do the kashf of the grave of Janab Sayyidah. He said after 40 days, he sees our fifth Imam in his dream, who tells him, Alayka bi Fatima bi Qum. Upon you is to go ahead and do the ziyarat of Fatima, Ma'suma Qum. He wakes up, he says, Imam, I was looking to find the grave of Janab Sayyida, which is hidden from us. And then the response that I get from Imam is what? Alayka bi Fatima bi Qum. Upon you is the ziyarat of Fatima Ma'suma in Qum. Here he realizes that what Imam is trying to tell him after this wazifa that he had done, that right now on the face of the earth, if you want to do the ziyarat of Fatima Zahra, the daughter of Rasulullah, you can go to Qum and do the ziyarat of Fatima Masuma Qum, and you will get the same exact reward. That is due to the maqam Fatima Masuma Qum Salamullah Alaiha enjoys. Some of the features of this lady is that she and Imam Rada were born from the same mother, from the children of Imam Musa Kazim. Their mother, Najma Khatun, gave birth to only two children, Imam Rada and Bibi Masuma Qum. Number two, she earned the title of Karima Ahl Bayt, the most knowledgeable and the most gracious and generous. They were all generous, but she got the title of being Karima Ahl Bayt, the one who is the generous one amongst the Ahl Bayt. And that's why, as far as her knowledge is concerned, Imam of the time, the seventh Imam, said this, فَصَرَّ الْإِمَامُ مُوسَى الْكَاظِمِ بِذَلِكَ وَقَالَ فِدَاهَا أَبُوهَا. When he saw the answers that she had given, he smiled and he said, may her father be ransomed over her. This is Imam of the time. He's Imam Masum, but he utters these words for his daughter, saying that may his father be ransomed over her. She reached this status through her own willingness and of course tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because seventh Imam had other daughters, but none came close to the status of Bibi Masuma Qum, known as Karima Ahl Bayt. Number three, doing her ziyarat is recommended by four Imams. Sixth Imam, seventh Imam, eighth Imam, ninth Imam, explicitly in their riwayat give this recommendation to go and visit this lady in Qum. Whoever visits Masuma Qum is like the one who has visited me in Mashhad. Eighth Imam says that if you go for the ziyarat of Masuma Qum, it is as if you have done my ziyarat in Mashhad. Man zara al-ma'suma biqum kaman zarani. And whoever goes for her ziyarat with the ma'rifat that is due, of course, wajabat lahul jannah. Paradise would be obligatory on such an individual. And then sixth Imam, Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi wasalam, goes to the extent. With these words, when you hear from the sixth Imam, he says, Inna lillahi haraman wa huwa Makkah. For Allah there is a haram, which is Makkatul Mukarramah. Ila anna li Rasulillahi haraman. For Rasulullah there is a haram, which is Madinatul Munawwara. Wa inna li Amir al-Mu'mineen haraman wa huwa al-Kufa. There is a haram for Amir al-Mu'mineen, which is Kufa. Ala wa inna Qum al-Kufatu saghira. And indeed Qum is a small Kufa for us. Why? He says, Ala inna lil jannati thamaniyat abwab thalathatun minha ila Qum. For Jannat there are 8 doors, 3 of them open toward the city of Qum. It says, تُقْبِضُ فِيهَا إِمْرَأَةٌ مِّن وَلَدِي اسْمُهَا فَاطِمَةٌ بِنْتُ مُوسَى بْنِ جَعْفَرَ وَتَدْخُلُ بِشَفَاعَتِهَا شِيعَةِ الْجَنَّةَ بِأَجْمَعِهِمْ. And pretty soon, a lady from my progeny will be buried in that city. And if those who go for her ziyarat, they will be the ones who are the recipient of her shafa'at on the day of judgment. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The fourth feature of this lady, so we've counted 3 features. Number 1, that she shares the same mother as Imam Rada. Number 2, that she's earned the title of Karima Ahl Bayt and her knowledge to the extent that Imam says that may her father be ransomed over her. Number 3, the thawab of the ziyarat of this lady mentioned by 4 Imams, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and 9th Imam. And number 4, the hijrat of this great lady. Rasulullah said, La safaratun fi sabilillahi khayrun min khamsina hajjah. A travel for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is superior and better than 50 hajj. If a person, imagine, has done 50 hajj in his lifetime, so mashallah, haji, there's no title that you'll put upon. You do a few hajj, you become al-hajj. right? People refer to you as Al-Hajj and whatnot. He says a person who's done 50 Hajj but has not gained any ma'rifat of Allah, that Hajj will not have any value whatsoever if this person has done one safar, ghayri Hajj, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just imagine the comparison that Rasulullah is given over here. So one of the chapters in fiqh is also about hijrah. Like Jafar al-Tayyar, who migrated to Abyssinia, like Prophet's migration from Mecca to Medina, Imam Hussein's migration from Mecca to Karbala, and similarly, Bibi Masuma Qum's migration from Medina to Mashhad originally, and eventually it was cut off and she passed away in the city of Qum. Also, we find another type of migration, which is from batil towards haqq. And you find the example of that migration in the life of Hazrat Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. That up until the 10th of Muharram, he finds himself to be in the camps of Yazid, in the camps of Umar Asad. And then he makes this decision overnight where he finds himself to be between Jannat and Jahannam. And he makes that migration. It was very difficult. Many could have done that. But you only hear about Hurr and his son. Ayatollah Mohsin Hakim, many of you were old enough to have done his taqleed, I'm sure. He was the marja in the 70s era. He's buried in Najaf near the haram of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He came to Karbala near the grave of Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, and he said these words. He said, "You are Hurr and I am Hakim." He's just giving comparison. He's speaking in Arabic. Anta Hurr wa ana Hakim. Anta shakhs wa ana Sayyid. We're an ordinary person. I am Sayyid, belonging to the family of Rasul. You were the leader of 1,000. I am a leader of millions, because he had millions of people who were doing his taqleed. You were a soldier, and I'm a scholar who has thousands of students. And the riwayat of Rasulullah says, Yuzano yawm al-qiyamati midadul ulama wa damu shuhada. On the day of judgment, Allah will weigh the blood of the martyrs with the pen of the ulama. فَيَرْجِحُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِدَادُ الْعُلَمَاء عَلَى دَمِ الشُّهَدَاء. And of course, the heavier would be the ink of the scholars, meaning showing the value of a scholar. So he said, you were Hur, I'm Hakim. You were leader of 1,000, I'm a leader of million. You were a soldier, I was a scholar. What happened that you attained such a status where people like us come to your ziyarat, take off their shoes, do your ziyarat, and ask for your shafa'at? He said, while you were Hur, while you were, ordinary person, while you were only leader of 1,000, while you were a soldier, and then he counted all of his attributes, which were definitely heavier. He said, still, what did you do that a person like me has to come for your ziyarat, take off the shoes in your vicinity, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your shafa'at? That is the maqam, that the migration that Hazrat Hur did on that night from the camp of batil towards the camp of haqq at that time. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. One of the lines in the ziyarat nama that you recite for Bibi Masuma Qum, it says, Allahumma inni as'aluka an takhtima li bis sa'ada fala taslub minni ma ana fihi. That, oh Allah, I ask you to make my end upon prosperity. فَلَا تَصْلُبْ مِنِّي مَا أَنَا فِيهِ. And do not take away from me that which I already have. So if I'm on good, don't take that away from me. And make my end what? On khair and aqibat bil khair. This is the dua. One of the main du'as that you should be asking every day. After every salat, while you make tons of other du'as, this should be one of the du'as. Oh Allah, make my aqibat bil khair. That my end is good. Because from now until my end, I don't know how many times I will fall. How many times I'll make mistake. How many times I will be deviated. But what I want on the last moment of my life, what? Aqibat bil khair. Make sure that you make this dua. I'll give you 3 examples very quickly regarding aqibat bil khair or aqibat bil jahannam. 2 of them from Quran, 1 from a page from the lesson of history. Misal awwal is from Bal'am Ba'ura. I'm sure you've heard of the story of Bal'am Ba'ura, who was an individual who had Ismi Azam. He had in his possession Ismi Azam. Similar to what Asif ibn Barkhiyah had. What was he able to do? Carry a physical object 1500 miles with the blink of an eye of Hazrat Sulaiman. The story is there. Bala ibn Ba'urura was also possessing what? Ismi Azam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Had the ability to do that. But what did he do with it? He went toward Hawa and Hawas. He went toward his desires. The ayat of Quran related, وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَعَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ آيَاتِنَا فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا فَأَتْبَعَهُ الشَّيْطَانِ. Relate to them the account of him whom we had given our signs, but he cast them off. Thereupon Shaitan pursued him, and he became one of the perverse. Had he wanted, it was in his possession, this Ismi Azam. Had he wanted, or had we wanted, we could have raised him to an exalted position, but he clung to his earthly life and followed his own desires. Such a person's bad habits are like those of a lazy dog. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after having given Ismi Azam to Bala ibn Ba'ura, is comparing him with what? In comparing Kamathalil Kalb. His example is like a lazy dog who always has his tongue hanging out, whether you chase it away or whether you leave it alone. This is in Surah Araf 175 if you want to further read on it. He was good. He had Ismi Azam, but Aqibat, not bil khair. Aqibat was not so good. Number 2, Barsisa. Another individual whose mention is done in Quran, in Surah Hashr, ayat number 16, talks about this. Was an Abid. He was a worshipper in the time of Bani Israel. His name was Barsisa, and he did ibadat for many, many years. People knew that this person is, definitely parhezgar, muttaqi, and all that stuff. In fact, people used to bring others to him because he had become Hakim. People would bring people to him who were sick, ill, and he would go ahead and read du'as upon them. According to their aqidah, this du'a will be effective enough that they will be cured. That's the status this person had developed. Today we have these amil this, amil that, people who are doing these sort of magical things and whatnot. No, this person had that cure in his hand due to the ibadah that he performed for so many years. But look what happened. One day, a lady was brought to him, and of course, his mind slipped, and he was not able to control his desires. He did something wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَمَثَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِذْ قَالَ لِلْإِنسَانِ أُكْفُرْ فَلَمَّا كَفَرَ قَالَ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّنْكَ. He said the hypocrites, and this Barsisa is like them, when he tells man, Shaitan tells man to disbelieve, but when he disbelieves, Shaitan says, I'm absolved of you. Indeed, I fear Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. Shaitan dragged him toward this ma'asiyat, and then he says, I'm absolved of what you have done. What does Allah say toward the end? فَكَانَ عَاقِبَتَهُمَا أَنَّهُمَا فِي النَّارِ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا. Then both of them, Shaitan and this man, they will both be brought into fire, and they will remain in it forever. So the beginning was good for Barsisa. The beginning was good for Bala ibn Ba'ura. Aqibat was not that khair. Last example from the lesson of a history, and inshallah I'll conclude. You heard the name of Zubair. Zubair ibn Awan, a genuine Sahabi of Rasulullah, no doubt about it. And his merits that are mentioned in the books of history. He's someone, after the house of Fatimah Zahra was attacked, he raised his voice in favor of Fatimah Zahra. He was there as a protector in the house. And also he is one of those individuals who signed the wasiyat nama of Fatimah Zahra. Their wasiyat nama that she had left behind. He's one of the signatories of that wasiyat nama. He's one of those 7 individuals who attended the janaza of Janab Sayyida. Imagine this person. This is someone who stayed by side Amirul Mu'mineen throughout the Khilafat. And then what happens? Battle of Jamal takes place. He stands up against Amirul Mu'mineen in the Battle of Jamal. And we know the rest, what happened to him and how he left this world. Aqibat, not so khair. Beginning, very good. If you just read that part of the history about Zubair, you will praise him. And I don't blame anyone praising. Look at what he did with Ahlul Bayt. He was with Janab Sayyida. during the difficult time after the wafat of Rasulullah, protecting her, and one of the signatories, and amongst those people who took part in the janazah of that great lady. But then what happens? Right away, the worldly affairs lured him into battle of Jamal against Amirul Mu'mineen, and Aqibat was not so khair. So you and I could be the same. When we think that we have done all the good things, but if the Aqibat is not good, then what is going to happen? There are certain things that we can do to make sure that our Aqibat and our end is on the right path. One of the ways is that on every Friday, by the recitation of Surah Mu'minun, you say this, Ya Allahu, Ya Rahmanu, Ya Rahimu, Ya Muqallib al-Qulub, Thabbit Qalbi ala Dinik. Make this dua to be your regular wird, because when you utter something regularly, then you start applying it into your life as well. Recitation of Surah Mu'minun on the day of Friday is also guaranteeing Aqibat bil Khair, Ihtaram bi Ahl Bayt, and the dhurriyat of Ahl Bayt also becomes the reason for the Aqibat bil Khair, and of course Ziyarat and the Ziyarat Adila for the person who is in the halat of ihtizar, the one who's dying. If you recite this dua Adila for that person, it is also going to go ahead and remind him for his good end. These were the matalib that I wanted to present under this ayat of Surah Kahf that we recited. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq and ability to be able to follow the commands and the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam. Inna asal hadith wa ablagh al-mu'idha kitabullahi a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus solihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم وغافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم سبحان من سبقت رحمته وغضبه وبسط اليدين بالرحمة سبحان من لم يكلف نفسا إلا دون وسعها وفعن السيئات ولم يجاز بها سبحان من لا يزداد على معاصي العباد إلا كرما وجودا ولا كثرة الذنوب إلا فهو صفحا نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو نطوف على العباد بجوده والعباد المذنبين بحلمه ونشهد أن محمدا نبيه وحبيبه سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين بعثه رحمة للعالمين ألا قد أمركم الله في محكم كتابه بالصلاة على نبيه وحبيبه فقال تعليما لكم وتشريفا لصفيه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Before I finish off the remaining khutbah in Arabic, today in Kabul, a suicide blast killed 19, mostly girls, at an education center. The blast ripped through Kaj Higher Educational Center, which coaches mainly adult men and women ahead of their university entrance test. The attack happened in the Dashte Barchi neighborhood in western Kabul, a predominantly Shia Muslim area and home to the minority Hazara community. The target of some of these Afghanistan's most recent deadly attacks have been the Shia community, especially the Hazara community. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide comfort to the families of those who lost their lives in this tragic incident. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise the maqam of all those people who tragically lost their lives. And also that Allah gives severe punishment to those who are the culprits behind these continuous attacks on mankind, humanity at large, and as well as educational institutions. Educational institutions is the worst. Not that any place is justified to be attacked, but the place where ilm and education is being spread, it comes under attack. You just realize the mentality, what is behind, and all the politics that is happening. And once again, sad day, and this is unfortunately very frequent event that happens very often nowadays, and unfortunately there's a blind eye when it comes from the Western media, because they only want to focus on things which will bring Islam down and nothing where their sympathy lies as far as Islam and Muslimin are concerned. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم صل على سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وعلى إمام المسلمين وقائد الغر المحجلين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين وبذة خاتم النبيين سيدتنا فاطمة بنت رسول الله صلوات الله عليها وعلى الحسن المجتبى والحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى محمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي عليهم الصلاة والسلام. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان ما هي آثار البدع والطغيان هادم أبنية الشرك والنفاق حاسد فروع البغي والشقاق وصلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آباء الكرام اتصلة الليالي والأيام. اللهم عجل فرجا وسهل مخرجا واكحل ناظرنا بنظرة منا إليه واجعلنا من المستشهدين بين يديه وتفضل على أمراء المؤمنين بمزيد التوفيقات وازدياد الإقبال وعلو الدرجات. اللهم افعل بنا ما أنت أهله ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله بجاه محمد وآله المعصومين صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يذكر فتنفع ذكرا إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا وأولاده المعصومين حجج الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائمة قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. وربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار بجاه محمد وآله الأطهار. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمد رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح جناب فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. All of us together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كن لوليك الحجة لابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Before we start, let's recognize the sponsors for today's Jummah lunch. It is the following families: Pirani family, Bawa family, Gulbano binti Muhammad. Please recite Surah Fatiha for their deceased relatives as well as yours, including Surah Fatiha for Karima Amir and Javed Amir. Surah Fatiha. Bismillah. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Very quickly, announcements. Tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, Salatul Fajr will be at 6 a.m. Come and join us for Salatul Fajr, followed by Tafsir session, followed by hot breakfast. And on Sunday, we recite Dua Sabah, followed by Ziyarat Ashura, and breakfast is also served. So start your day right on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Join us for Salatul Fajr, 6 a.m. Tomorrow, Saturday, also there's a free healthcare day. Apna NJ chapter, in collaboration with Masjid-e-Ali, will be holding its annual free healthcare day between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. in Masjid-e-Ali banquet halls downstairs, which includes variety of services, flu shots, health screening, dental screening, medical consultation, diabetes counseling, hypertension, and to name a few. Do take opportunity of this free clinic, which is being offered in collaboration with Apna, and free of charge. If you need to get and see a physician, here's an opportunity if you haven't seen one in a while. So once again, tomorrow, Saturday, between 1 and 5 p.m. here in Masjid-e-Ali banquet halls. Tuesday, inshallah, we will be having the last majlis of the Ayyam-e-Aza, commemorating the shahadat of our 11th Imam, Imam Hassan Askari alayhi salatu wasalam. That program, inshallah, will start at 7:30 p.m. with Namaz-e-Isha, Salatul Isha, followed by Majlis Aza. Do take part in that Majlis. Let's recite Dua Sihat Amman Yuji for all of those people who are in need of dua. Those who are suffering, struggling, going through difficult time, physically, financially, spiritually, mentally, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring them out of their difficulties. Especially remember Shamim Musa. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Amma yujibu al-mustarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su. Amma yujibu al-mustarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف السوء ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض أإله مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون. Let's proceed to Salatul Asr. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب رب زدني علما نافعا وعملا صالحا فالحقني بالصالحين بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
الله ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام. وأسأله أن يتوب علي توبة عبد ذليل خاضع فقير باعث مسكين مستكين مستجير لا يملك لنفسه نفعا ولا ضرا ولا موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا اللهم إني أعوذ بك من نفس لا تشبع ومن قلب لا يخشى ومن علم لا ينفع ومن صلاة لا ترفع ومن دعاء لا يسمع اللهم إني أسألك اليسر اللهم إني أسألك اليسر بعد العسر والفرج بعد الكرب والرخاء بعد الشدة اللهم ما بنا من نعمة فمنك لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
Matoja Ziyarah today will recite the Ziyarat of father of Imam Zamana, Imam Hassan Askari alayhi salam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum ya Nabi Allah, Assalamu alaikum ya Amir al-Mu'minin, ya Qasim al-Jannat wan Nar. Assalamu alaikum Sayyidina Sal Alamin. Assalamu alaikum ya Mawla ya Hassan Ali al-Hadi al-Muhtadi wa rahmatullahi barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum ya Wali Allah wa ibn awliya, ya Hujjat Allah wa ibn Hujjat, ya Safi Allah wa ibn Asfiya, ya Khalifat Allah wa ibn Khulafai wa ba Khalifati. Assalamu alaikum ya ibn Khatam al-Nabiyyin, ya ibn Sayyid al-Waziyyin, ya ibn Amir al-Mu'minin, ya ibn Sayyid al-Alamin. Assalamu alaikum ya ibn Aimat al-Hadin, ya ibn Awsiya Rashidin, ya Ismat al-Muttaqin, ya Imam al-Faizin, ya Rukn al-Mu'minin, ya Fahr al-Jamal al-Khufin. Assalamu alaikum Waris al-Anbiya al-Muntajabin. Assalamu alaikum Khazin al-Ilm Wasiy Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum ayyu da'i bi hukmillah. Assalamu alaikum ayyu nadhik bi kitabillah. Assalamu alaikum ya Hujjat al-Hujaj. Assalamu alaikum ya Hadi al-Umam, ya Wali al-Ni'am, ya Abat al-Ilm, ya Safinat al-Hilm. Assalamu alaikum ya Abul Imam al-Muntazir al-Zahira lil-Aqil Hujjata والثابت في اليقين معرفة المنتجبين عن عين الظالمين والمغيب عن ضالة الفاسقين والموعد ربنا بالإسلام جديدا بعد الانتماس والقرآن غسل بعد الاندراس. أشهد يا مولاي أقمت الصلاة وتزكى ومرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأعطى إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وبطل مخلصا حتى ذاق اليقين. الصلاة بشان الذي لكم عنده أن يتقبل زيارتي لكم يشكر سعي إليكم ويستجيب لك دعائي بكم واجعلني من أنصار الحق وأتباعه وأشياعه ومواليه وبيه. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم يا أهل البيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم يا صاحب العصر والزمان، يا خليفة الرحمن، يا إمام الإنس والجان، يا كعبة الإيمان، يا تفسير الفرقان. السلام عليكم يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليكم يا إمام زماننا، أجل الله فرجك وسهل مخرجك وزهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على